quality, good lighting, good audio hook. I love breaking it down. It's fun for me. That's what I need. That's what I'm missing. I'm glad I listened to my gut.
Welcome back to the Cypress Room, where we dive deep on influencing with integrity. This is a podcast for creators, and I'm Meggie Honeycutt.
And I'm Christina Mascari, and I'm totally fangirling because today in the Cypress Room, we have Modern Millie. Welcome to the Cypress Room, Millie.
Hi, Christina. Hi, Meggie. I'm pretty stoked to be here because I also have been secretly watching your podcast on YouTube the past probably few months since that one hacked episode came out. I've been obsessed. So the fangirling goes both ways.
Yay! Well, we're so happy to have you here. If you guys are not familiar with Millie, she is a guru. She can teach you how to grow on Instagram, how to grow on TikTok. She's huge on YouTube now. So we are going to just dive in and be spilling all the secrets that she has and just encourage you in your content creation journey today.
Yes. So let's start out with, how did you become a content creator coach on YouTube? Was YouTube your initial platform that you started with? How did you get there? Kind of give us the journey of how you became Modern Millie.
Yeah, so I'll give you the shorter version. Obviously, I could talk the long version of like how I started creating content years and years and years ago, but we'll talk about the evolution of my brand specifically. I originally was on Instagram because this is like 2017 when like the rise of travel influencers and bloggers were really popping off. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be on Instagram. And I dabbled in a bunch of different niches. I call it niche hopping. I was like doing travel content, I was doing fashion and all the things. And as I was creating, I had a lot of fun with taking photos and telling stories with photos. And I met my husband like 2 years later, and he's a photographer, so we had fun creating together. And slowly, as I was posting all these pictures to Instagram, people would ask like, how do you pose? How are you editing this? How are you growing your Instagram? How, like, they would start asking questions in the comments. And I originally went to college to be a teacher. I've always taught. I convinced my third grade teacher when I was little, I convinced my third grade teacher to let me tutor fourth and fifth graders. Like, I've always taught. That's just what I do. I was a dance teacher for 9 years. And so when people ask questions, I love breaking it down. It's fun for me. So I was just answering them, and people loved it. They love learning about Instagram. They loved the photography process, taking pictures, posing, confidence in front of the camera. And so I started posting those Instagram tips to YouTube as well, because when I was doing my journey of growing on Instagram, I would look up how to do it on YouTube. So I'd go to YouTube and be like, how do I grow on Instagram? How do I make an aesthetic feed? All these questions that I had, I wasn't looking them up on Insta. I was on YouTube. And I couldn't find a lot of answers there. So I was like, okay, I'll figure it out and I'll put the answers there for other people. And that's kind of how my YouTube started blowing up. Originally, it was teaching Instagram tips, and then it evolved to, okay, well, now you're growing your YouTube. How did you grow your YouTube? So then YouTube tips, and then TikTok tips, and just overall content creator tips, making money, growing your brand. And kind of that's the evolution of the teachings and the niche hopping and where I am now.
I love that. That's such a fun story. And it's so cool because, you know, you were creating content, but then you found out, actually, I love teaching people how to create content. And now you have a business around encouraging others and teaching them how to build content, which I think is so much fun. Because the behind the scenes, I think, is one of the most funnest parts of doing content creation, like all the brand deals and like getting your account to grow. It's just like so fun. So I love that you found your own niche and you didn't really even start off doing that.
Yeah, no, not at all. Let's just say, let's be glad I was not a fashion influencer. It would not be pretty.
Oh, I don't believe that. I think you're so cute and I love your style.
Yeah, you only see the top half. I don't know how to piece things together aside from the top half.
Okay, so now that we have a little bit of your backstory, my thing that I like wanted to ask you, and I'm putting myself in the shoes of my viewer who hasn't even started yet, who wants to do something, who has a passion. If you were going to start from zero today and you could only pick one platform to kind of focus on to get your feet wet, which one would you encourage them to pick?
I would tell them to pick the platform that they enjoy spending time on and being on the most. There's not like a secret platform that like, oh, TikTok is the key right now or Reels is the key right now. Because if you just try to do what everyone else is doing and you're like, cool, I'm going to do Reels because everybody says it's hot right now and I have to get on it, and you do Reels, but you hate Instagram, you're going to burn out and you're going to give up and it's going to suck. But if you just pick the platform that you genuinely love, you feel connected with, you're going to have a way better time creating for it, a way better time learning how to create for it, learning the ins and outs of it, the algorithm, the content strategies. It's going to be so much more enjoyable. Therefore, the likelihood of your platform taking off increases because you enjoy it more. So you're doing it longer. So pick the platform that you love and it'll be a lot more enjoyable for you.
You have to share.
I know.
Because I know this is speaking right
with
to you.
me because I'm in the beginning of my content journey, and I was just sharing with Christina the other day, like, I do not love Instagram anymore. Like, I love to be on TikTok and YouTube, and I just find those platforms so much more enjoyable. So what you're saying, I'm sure is going to resonate with so many people, because I think a lot of people in the beginning believe we have to do all the things, show up on all the platforms to find success. And I don't necessarily think that's true. Tell me what your thoughts are on that.
I think posting to all the places is great after you've already established your brand.
Yeah.
If you're
good.
somebody who's just starting out, don't try to be everywhere, because it's going to be crazy. You're learning each individual algorithms all at once, and they all speak a different language. So it's like, are you going to go to school to learn Spanish, or are you going to go to school and then be like, I'm going to also learn Spanish, French, and Japanese all at the same time? And like, no, that's going to confuse the heck out of you. Pick one platform in the beginning, go all in on it. Hopefully it's the platform that you love the most. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. And I think my husband could relate too, because I've been telling him, I'm like, you gotta do YouTube, it's so great. And so he's been posting YouTube videos, and then he saw me making like Reels and TikToks the other day, and he's like, I don't think I like long form. I really like doing short form. And I'm like, okay, let's switch it. Let's switch, like just do what you enjoy doing.
Well, so this is interesting, because I'm wondering, is this what went into your decision to go off Instagram for a period of time because you wanted to refocus back on the platform you loved most, which is YouTube? Or tell us a little bit about what went into that decision. And then I think
how long was it? Was it like 7 months?
Was it 7 months?
It was a long time, wasn't it?
It was 7 months.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, just as a viewer, that went by really fast for the viewer.
It went by fast for me too.
Okay.
There was a lot that went into that decision, and I actually was sitting on that decision for a full year before I decided that. So it was in 2022 when I was like, I kind of want to take a break from Instagram. But at that time, my only reason was because I didn't like it. I was like, I don't really like it, so I don't want to be on it. And as a business owner, because now I have to think both as a content creator and a business owner. And as the business owner, it didn't make sense for me to leave Instagram because I only had an Instagram course. So it's like, how are you going to sell an Instagram course if you're not on Instagram?
If you're not on Instagram. That's pretty hard.
So didn't make good sense at the time. But a year later, more reasons were kind of getting added to that list. It wasn't just, well, I don't really enjoy it anymore. It was, my team was like evolving a lot, and we didn't have like a good Instagram strategy. It felt very messy. I needed more time to focus on my courses. So I was doing a lot of course updates. We were completely redoing the Instagram course, completely redoing the BSP model. So like there are so many updates that needed to happen behind the scenes that I didn't have time for because I was like neck deep in Instagram content, filming reels, approving these drafts that my team created. And because our process was messy, my time wasn't being spent wisely. So there's a lot more reasons that I'm like, okay, business-wise now, it makes sense. Let's put a pause on it. My team can figure out a new process while I update the courses and work with students so that they have hands-on experience for growing their account. I learn more, we could update the courses, and then go back to Instagram feeling fresh, like we have new material. We've learned more from students who are in the weeds. So there was a lot more reasons to leave. That was all the things that went into taking that break. And I think that was the original question. So I'll stop ranting.
I know.
No, but now do you feel like that break was necessary to come back refreshed and with a new strategy? And what has it been like since you've come back to that platform?
Yes, the break was necessary, a bajillion %. I'm glad I listened to my gut and not all the people who were like hating on me for taking a break. It was so necessary. Now our process is way more streamlined. I have 2 new positions that we created. So I have my social media manager. She plans all the upcoming content. She does the research for what's trending. She puts a list in my Millie this week. I have like a little folder that's Millie this week, and there's like 10 things I could choose from. Whatever is sparking excitement for me, I'll pull that idea and I'll film it that week. So once a week I film. I have a whole film day where it's either YouTube videos, course updates, Instagram reels. And so I'll move some real stuff to a film day, and I'm getting videos out and created at least once a week now. And then the second position is now we have a new video editor, because before that one girl that was doing the social media stuff, she was also the video editor. So she was kind of trying to do a bajillion things, and that's why we all felt so scattered. So we just have a video editor just for short form, and the whole process is so smooth, and yeah, we really like it.
That's cool. What is the main goal of your short form content? Is it to get people in the top of your funnel? Is it to educate? Is it to make you, I'm sure you have pillars. So I would love to know, like, what is your goal every time you're putting out short form content and what it's supposed to hit on?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think everybody will have a different goal with their short form content, and we didn't really know what would work for us. So we came back and we were in test mode for the first 2 months of just like testing to see what we liked, what was working, all the things, where this fit in our strategy. And we noticed short form, it's very much just reaching new eyes, introducing my face to new people, or nurturing my already existing community on Instagram. What's funny is we found, even last month, we had a great Instagram month, probably our best Instagram month in terms of reach. It didn't convert to sales. Our YouTube videos, or my YouTube videos, that's what really converts to sales. Like when I mention a course in my YouTube videos. I know, super. So like my short form content doesn't convert well to getting people to buy from me, especially because right now I have a big gap in my offers. I have like lots of little products and then like one big product. There's not really an in between. And I think because people trust me so much more on YouTube because of the value that I give there, they're much more willing to invest in a high ticket product. So short form is very much just let's show up. Let's feed the algorithm and feed my audience and say hi.
Yeah, I'm curious, do you find that your Instagram followers jump over to YouTube and follow you there, or is it 2 separate audiences, do you think?
Yeah, it's very separate. It's very separate. There is some crossover, but it's very separate to the point where I have a mutual connection on Instagram. We connected through Instagram just recently, and we've been following each other for maybe a month now, and maybe 2 months, about 2 months now. And she just found out that I had a YouTube channel.
Wow.
Like, you've been following me. We've been on Instagram for 2 months together, and she didn't even know that I had a YouTube channel. It's just, even when I post like my YouTube videos on my stories, whatever, Instagram audience just doesn't translate to YouTube audience. It's much more common for YouTube audience to jump over to Instagram because they want to hang out with me more and get to know me on a more personal level instead of just educational. But the Instagram doesn't transfer to YouTube often.
Oh,
That's so interesting.
Interesting.
Okay, and so now I want to dive into like more of your like coach hat and put your coach hat on, because you're meeting with these people who are doing Instagram, and I want to know what the trends are that you're seeing in Instagram creator wise, because I'm seeing such an influx of shoppy creators, I call them, and all they're doing is driving like, you know, comment this and I'll send you my top 10 Amazon picks, and it's driving a lot of affiliate sales, and that is where like their whole bread and butter is. And these are creators that I meet all the time out in the real world at events that I'm doing, and I'm just seeing such an inundation of that, and I don't know if it's because I'm in a silo. So I want to know like what you're seeing, like what are people trying to build and grow on Instagram right now that are your students?
Yeah, it's very different. So
Okay.
The trends that I just see in general on Instagram, I agree with you. It's very much comment this for this. Whether it's for affiliates, I use that to generate people to my free webinars or to generate them to my YouTube videos. I'm trying to get my Instagram audience to my YouTube channel. So comment this for this. Super in right now, super trendy. Some people audience-wise love it. Some people audience-wise hate it.
I know, right?
But as a creator, it's so powerful. It's so easy instead of go to the link in my bio.
Yeah.
So it's easier.
Yeah.
For my students, the trends are different because I think my students are in a different place with their growth right now. They're very much just starting. And a lot of the students that I'm working with, they're not yet at the point where they're hopping into these trends. They're still figuring out how to make good content. And I think that's the commonality that I notice with beginning creators is a lot of beginning creators go into content creation or trying to be a content creator thinking, oh, I post for 30 days and I have instant success. There's like this, you think it's going to be this instant reward. But if you don't have experience creating content in the first place, that is not as likely. And I think that's a hard pill for people to swallow. You have to know how to make good content. You know, you have to, and good content is so vague, I know, but, but I'll do a bunch of audits every single week. I'm doing audits for my students and they're always like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing? I'm like, you still have to learn how to film. You have to learn lighting, even if it's just get by a window. Some people aren't even by a window. Their lights are off in their room. And like, you just got to know the basics of quality, good lighting, good audio, hook. You know, those basics are really the make it or break it for a lot of people.
I love that because I think there's so much high level stuff, but there are some people that do just need somebody to hold their hand and look at the content day in, day out, and just simple things like lighting and editing tips. And I love that you're walking people through that process because not everybody can figure it out on their own. And so I definitely think that it's something necessary. And I love that you're here on our podcast because there's a lot of people that haven't even started yet that like keep watching us and they're like, they want to do it, but they're scared. And so here, Millie is a great resource for you. Like no question is stupid. Like, you know, you just have to like put yourself out there and you have to fail and fall on your face. And Millie's going to like be right there with you. Like,
I'll have the Band-Aids.
Yeah. I just love it. I love it.
Do you find that sometimes as a coach, like beyond just the technical stuff of great lighting, you know, good content, do you find yourself being like more of a cheerleader and encourager to just be the person for somebody to say like, no, you can do this. Like you're capable. Is that kind of a role you play as a coach too?
Yes and no. It is a very common position that I will be in with my students. So for people who are watching and unfamiliar, I have a course bundle called the BSP model. When people enroll in the BSP model, they also join my Slack community. And so when I'm talking about my students, I'm mostly talking about the students in my Slack group. I'm in there every day, Monday through Friday. My team is in there every day, Monday through Friday. And so that's these interactions that I'm having. And we actually have a mindset specific BSP Slack channel because every single week somebody's like, I've been posting for 30 days or I've been posting for 2 months and it's just not working. I just need somebody to vent to. And so sometimes I'm there as the support, but I also have a mindset coach specifically for those students because I'm very analytical, strategic, let me break this down for you. And then I think it's important to also have somebody there that is trained in, okay, well, how do we break through these mindset barriers? Not just, woo, you could do it. I could do that. I can tell you, like, keep going. But it's important to also have somebody that's like, okay, well, let's talk about it. Where are these feelings coming from? How can we work through this? So I am very much the cheerleader, but we also have like support for people to help get through those mindset blocks or imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Is there, I imagine that you just have a range of people in different niches and doing different things. Is there a subset that's bigger than one or the other? Or is it just kind of like so random, or are you seeing any trends just like in your students?
It's super random, but
okay.
I also
love that.
Yeah, it's so random. I get like very random niche, like there's a YouTuber who talks specifically about ancient finds and language and like historical I'm not a history person, but it's so different from anything I've ever heard. But then I think the most common one that I get a lot is people that are creators that want to help others with lifestyle and like a life coach. And it's very just like a broad, I want to help them feel more confident in their life. And that is super common. And so with those students, we have to be like, okay, how do we niche that down though? Because that is very, very broad right now. So that's a really common niche that I come across.
Okay, that's so interesting. See, I love questions like this because we're so niched down into the DIY and the home decor community that sometimes we don't know what's going on in the other industries. But like I was just at YouTube last week, and it's just fun to hear what everybody's different channels are and how they're succeeding. Like I met a guy who was leading like a tech breakout, and he lives in Ohio, in just middle Ohio, and I'm from Ohio, so he's just like a really regular Midwestern person, and he fixes like refrigerators or dishwashers or whatever, and he shows people how to do it. And I was talking with him. He's like, yeah, I started out doing that, but then I recorded it and I put them up on YouTube. And, like I don't even sell the things that I fix now. I'm like, yep, that's how I did with furniture. Like I don't even really sell the furniture that I flip. I'm just here doing it and teaching people. And so I just love that there's so many niches out there. And you might think, there's no audience for this, but there are so many people in the world watching YouTube. There is an audience for it, and Instagram too. Yeah. It's so fun.
Well, I'm curious. I would love to know more about, as you were building your business, I mean, you have a team around you now. Mm-hmm. Talk to us about kind of scaling your business, how you decided to build and grow your team. Kind of walk us through that process and who you have as your support system now at Modern Millie.
Yeah. So for me, let me talk first about like that first hire, because I think that's a common question is, how do I know when the right time to hire is, or who should I hire first? Mm-hmm. And I'll answer both those questions. For like, okay, when is the right time? For me, it was, obviously I had the resources and means to, even I think my first hire was $300 a month. So actually it may have just been $20 a month. We'll talk about that. So I had the means, but also I had hit a ceiling where I physically could not do more. And I also stopped growing. I stopped growing follower wise, reach wise, and financially. I just hit a wall, and I was like, why am I stuck? I felt like I was stuck. Like I had this like little peak, and then it was like near plateau. And I'm like, what is going on? It was because I was doing all the things, and I needed to not be doing all the things. I needed to delegate the things so I could focus on those needle moving tasks. So that was my first sign, was I'm stuck. I need to admit that I need help. My first hire was actually somebody that, it was on Fiverr, I believe, $20 per YouTube video. They transcribed my YouTube videos to blog posts. At the time, I didn't script my videos word for word. It was just bullet points. So she physically transcribed everything out, made it a blog post, posted it to my website, because blogs were like the thing to do. It's not very much a strategy that I use or recommend, but that was what my first money that I've ever spent. You know, the real first person that I had on my team as a contractor was somebody to help me with my Instagram engagement, because I was spending mindless hours on Instagram, scrolling, commenting, engaging. That's very much part of the growth process. You know, it's engaging with your community, engaging with people who are not in your community yet. And so I was spending a lot of time with that, and I needed that off my plate. And so I delegated that. How do you decide what to hire for? Great question. Let me tell you. For me, it was working with the 4 zones of genius. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but there's basically 4 zones that you operate in. You have a zone of genius, a zone of excellence, a zone of competence, and a zone of incompetence. And the zone of genius is like, this is your zone. You are freaking fantastic at this. Nobody else can do this the way that you do it. Your zone of genius, you're in the zone, you love it. You also love it. That's like important. Zone of excellence is you're really good at it. You're good at it, maybe better than most. There's not many people that could do what you do, but maybe you don't love it as much. Zone of competence, you're average at it, but there's people out there that could do it better than you. Incompetence is like SOS, send help, I suck, you know? And so for me, I had to delegate those zone of incompetence, zone of competence things, stay in my zone of genius, which is like YouTube videos. I love YouTube. Stay there. Whatever doesn't fall in there, delegate the rest. And so that was kind of how I decided what needed to be given to other people. And that was how I made my first hire decision. Now we have a little over 10 people on my team, which we could talk about expanding, but I wanted to just answer the basics first, because those are the common questions I get.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, my follow-up question to that, because this is like the biggest team that we've heard of that we've interviewed somebody. So at what point, because you are the content driver, are you still like technically the CEO? Are you still driving stuff, or do you have a side person that's helping drive stuff a lot more? If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. I have a digital business manager, my DBM. Her name is Megan. I also call her my gatekeeper, because like nothing gets to Millie unless it's through Megan. She is my timekeeper, my peacekeeper, so that I can focus on YouTube and course updates. Those are like, Millie needs to do YouTube and course updates. I also have to film Instagram Reels, but it's not like needle moving type of a task. Everything that doesn't fall within those tasks, it goes to Megan. So any team member questions, it goes to Megan. Megan will tag me if she doesn't know, or if she wants me to be the deciding factor there. All big decisions of like, okay, what our goals are, projects we're working on, that's me, but she helps me make those projects move forward, or move those projects forward.
Can you tell us a little bit about the evolution of Megan, like where she started out and how she came into this role?
Yeah, so Megan was hired as a DBM, and at that time it was just like, help me organize things, you know? So we organized my ClickUp. We made better processes for the YouTube approval process. We made better processes for brand collaborations, for when a brand reaches out. Okay, let's go through all those steps. How can we make this more seamless? So it was very much just like organizing systems. And she's been with me since 2020 or 2021.
Okay.
She just celebrated her anniversary last month, so I should know that. I think it's
when
3
you got
or
the
4
lights
years.
on and you're being recorded, you're like, I don't want to say it wrong.
I know, lots of pressure here. And so it just started with like organization, and then since she started with me so long ago, as team members were added, I kept getting tagged in Slack for every single question. And then it became, okay, she's going to help keep the peace here and be more of like the team manager. And one of the main reasons I hired her, I remember this distinctly in our interview process. I interviewed a lot of people, but I asked her what was something she was like passionate about and where she sees self in the next 3 to 5 years, what she like envisioned her life to be. And she saw herself, she's like, I'd love to work for like a woman business owner. And the thing I'm most passionate about is helping women have a healthy work-life balance. And at the time I had just struggled with intense burnout. I was in the hospital for 3 months and I needed help with that. I'm a workaholic. I will work for 10 hours and not eat and forget about things, setting boundaries, you know? And she was the most passionate about helping people set boundaries and making sure they're not working when they're not supposed to be working. And just hearing her talk about that and hearing the fire she had for that, I was like, that's what I need. That's what I'm missing. And ever since then, she's helped so much with setting boundaries for me in all those levels, personal and business.
Wow.
That's so amazing to
That
hear
is
because
amazing.
we studied Vanessa Lau's story, which I'm sure, knowing what you do, you're probably familiar with her and how she left YouTube for a year and how she was just like at this pinnacle, but she was sick like all the time and burnt out. Because I think the thing that makes you successful at starting a business is the same thing that can end up being a detriment to you.
Yeah.
Because you have that drive in the beginning, be like, I see this, and you work for it. And when you work, and then when it becomes successful, every time you put your hand to that and you see it's bringing in more money or bringing in more followers, you're like, well, I just got to keep doing more and more and more. But it's like the mouse, you know, that hits the button just to keep getting the drug. And
The
then
reward.
they eventually they eventually like kill themselves. So I love that you have put a business person in place to kind of help with your health and balancing your life and your business and still letting them both be successful. Like, because I think the other thing that happens is people just walk away from their business completely. So I love to hear that you have those safeguards in place. Yeah, that's the word I wanted, safeguards.
Yeah.
And then you have to think of how exponentially this is going to affect all the people that you're teaching, because you're leading from a very healthy example. And then you have the proof of like, here's how you do it and not burn out. And so then that is just multiplying out into this creator business. And hearing you explain that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. This is why I'm drawn to you, because because it's a healthy drive. It's a healthy success.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know. I really like that. Yeah. Not only did you put people in place to help you have healthy boundaries, but at the same time, it's like a mutual beneficial thing, because at the same time, you have this team around you that's helping you grow and scale a business at the same time, which is really cool.
Yeah. Everybody on the team too, it doesn't affect them, you know, like they're so respectful with the boundaries that we set, and everyone is so understanding just because that's part of our business values. You know, as soon as somebody's hired, they know that even for how they operate as a business, I tell them like, take time off, you know, set those boundaries. Don't reply to me in Slack if you're feeling like crap that day, you know, don't check Slack on the weekends. I'm very much pushing them to have boundaries too. And so when I set a boundary, it's just all levels of like respect for boundaries across the board on the team. And it's a really cool dynamic.
It is very cool. And it leads me to the question of, okay, you have this big team, you're wildly successful on different platforms. Like, what's the future of Modern Millie? Like, when you've achieved this amount of success, what are the goals that you're still reaching for in your business?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's something that I had to figure out for myself during my Instagram break. My Instagram break was at the end of 2023. December is when I started. And so going into January, like a new year, you set goals. And I had no idea. I was like, I don't know what to do. So I got to kind of take time away from social media to ask myself that question and figure out what that answer was. For me, I do still see myself scaling my business. Not everybody has to. Not all content creators have to. That's just something I want to do. I enjoy educating and teaching people, and I'd love to be able to reach more creators and help more creators. For me, would love to scale and hit like new revenue goals. So that's one thing just internally, that'd be cool. And then I also, this is like a down the line thing. I think it would be so cool to have some sort of multi-channel network happening on YouTube. So it's not just Modern Millie YouTube channel. There's other channels that I don't know how they'll connect. I don't know how they'll run and operate, but I see like Good Mythical Morning with Rhett and Link. They have multi-channel network happening. Matt Pat, how he built up film theory, and then that was like game theory and fashion theory. So like food theory, all these channels have kind of blossomed from these really cool hard hitter creators. And so I think for me, a cool goal would to have my own multi-channel network. I have no idea what that would look like, but I'm so passionate about YouTube. I love YouTube so much. That's the direction that I would want to go, and I think that would bring me the most joy.
I love that. You're a visionary.
You are.
I can see it. Like when you're talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, this makes sense as a next step for her.
Thanks.
So we had this on our notes, and we just have to talk about it because this is probably why this whole thing has happened in the first place.
Yes.
But we remember your hacked video coming out. You got hacked on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, we had Omar El Takori, who used to be with Think Media. He's out on his own now. He has a podcast called The Video Department. His Instagram got hacked, and then there was another one.
John Chris.
Oh yeah, Chris
Facebook.
got hacked on Facebook, and they all happened. Like I watched these videos back to back, and I was like, Meggie, we have to do a video on this because people don't know. Like these things happen, and they don't know, and then their whole livelihood is taken, and they were just wild stories. So yours, I think, was the first that we shared. And I think someone gained access to your YouTube channel like through a team member's Gmail or something like that. So number one thing we did is we go in and we check all our two-factor authentications and whatever and get all that on lockdown. But we, reacted to your video. You commented on the video. We were like freaking out.
Yeah.
We're like, Millie saw this. Oh my gosh. Okay. Then fast forward probably like 2 months later, we put a podcast up and it was going bananas because it was with a YouTube creator named Shay Manning, who's Free Spirit Equestrian, and her people were blowing up our channel. It got 1,000 views in the first hour that we were up. We were like, this is it. We've made it. All of a sudden, she calls me and he's like, my husband just texted me and our YouTube channel is gone. And I was like, what are you talking about? I have to get on a plane in like 30 minutes. Okay. And I'm not packed yet because that's how I roll.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I'm the one who has the email because it's attached to my other YouTube channel. I'm like, okay, let me go check. And I check our email and it says, your YouTube channel has been permanently disabled for violating our community rules. We've never gotten any strikes. We're like, it's real because it is from Google. It is not from Gmail. This is a legit email. And we are freaking out. And she's like, okay, wait, like, remember Millie, like she had to do these processes. She has the forms on her video. Like we can't freak out. We have to do, like, we just have to wait. We have to wait. And I was only 24 hours, but it was the most stressful.
Yes, it was
24 hours of our lives.
But we knew what to do.
We were panicking a little bit filling out the form because I was like, I think I only have one chance to fill this form out. And you only got, I think, 500 or 1,000 characters. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm sitting here writing it, knowing that I need to leave or I'm going to miss this plane. And she's like, I'm like, does that sound good? And she's like, yeah, I guess so. Let's send it out. And by like the morning when we woke up, that was the only thing that we filled out. I don't know if I told you this, but I did chat with Google on the airplane. I like bought the internet and went in and chatted with someone and they're like, you did everything that you could. I hope you get it back. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I was trying to use all the pull. I'm like, well, I have this other channel and I'm just really worried it's going to get affected. And I thought those 500,000 followers over there would have got me something. They're like, no, you just need to fill out the form and wait. But I think we took a deep breath and the next morning it was restored and we were like, thank you. So we just want to say thank you to you because if we wouldn't have had your video, we probably would have really, really panicked. Yeah. And it was just like seeing your video and having you put that out there is like, okay, there are people looking at these forms. Like it's okay, but we still don't know what we did.
Yeah. Still don't know.
And it was a podcast about horses. So I don't know what happened. I think it's some type of AI that when you say certain words, even though you're not using it in a way that could be bad, they fly. I don't know what happened. We still don't know. We still don't know.
So weird.
But the number one thing is don't panic, guys. There is a way to get your channel back. And Millie showed that to us. So we want to thank you.
Her channel saved the day.
Yeah. Our podcast probably still wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that video that you made.
I'm glad. I'm oddly glad that my channel was hacked for you in a way. No, I just turned it into a teaching moment. It happened to me, and I get asked about that process a lot. And so I was like, okay, let's turn it into a YouTube video. And fortunately, it's helped a lot of other people too, like in the comments section. Thank you so much for this. My channel got hacked. I filled out the form and fingers crossed, or like, and now I have my channel back, you know? So it's been a great resource, and got to turn something not so great into something helpful for others. Yeah.
How do you decide when you're planning your content calendar? Is it, I mean, you said that your teammate kind of gives you a list. Is it around trends? Is it mostly what you're personally passionate about? Like, how do you weed out and decide like what's priority for you? Just because things are changing so quickly, you know, on all these platforms and the algorithm, and what works one day doesn't the next. How do you decide what to put out? So it's different for short form than it is for long form. So my content manager, my social media manager that plans out all my content, she focuses on short form. So right now she just does Instagram reels, and so she'll give me all the Instagram reels ideas. I'll pick from there, and then we repurpose it to TikTok and Shorts. When it comes to long form and YouTube, that's my bread and butter. Only I research all those topics, plan that content calendar. So long form is all me. For deciding the short form, the list that she sends me, it's really just whatever sounds exciting at the time. You know, so there'll be like a list of different trending audios, and I'll hear a trending audio that I like, and I'm like, oh, that's the one I'm going to do. You know, It's just whatever sparks inspiration. If it feels forced, I'm not going to do it. Just because it's probably not going to land with my audience either. If it doesn't feel natural for me, it's not going to feel natural for them. So if it feels forced, I skip it. So that goes with the topics that I'm talking about in talking reels. So there's trending audios, but then we also have talking head reels where I teach and talk to the camera for Instagram. And one topic she had me teaching was how to use Instagram hashtags. And she outlines everything for me. So she'll do the talking points and tell me her vision for the video. But that one video I just could not do. I was like, I hate Instagram hashtags. I don't want to give tips about Instagram hashtags because people are already obsessed with Instagram hashtags. So I just like completely got rid of the whole script and just started fresh. And it was about Instagram hashtags, but it was about how people need to stop focusing on it. Like, you shouldn't be focusing on hashtags. You should be making good videos. Hashtags will only help you if you have good content. If you don't have good content, it doesn't matter. So I completely just like scratched that script and went with what was feeling true to me. So deciding what videos I pull from, it's really just like what feels right at the moment. YouTube is different because I'm actually like coming up with the ideas from scratch. So now I'm the one that's like, what do I post? Should I focus on Instagram? What topic about Instagram? And so picking those ideas vary. I try to rotate between like the content pillars or the subtopics that I talk about and teach about. So every month I try to do an Instagram, a TikTok, a YouTube, and then a general creator tip video. That's what I try to rotate between. And then those topics will vary depending on what's trending, or if a video performs really, really well and I see people have a lot more questions on it, I could double down on it. I'm a sucker for analytics, so I am always looking at my YouTube analytics. I'm always checking to see what they're recommending I create and seeing if anything sparks excitement. So yeah, it's just lots of different places to get ideas. I could just talk about a bajillion different ways they come to me.
Yeah, I love your analytical mind. It's so fun to hear you talk. But I want to know like what you enjoy watching, and do you get to watch for fun, or are you always watching like your industry and studying people that you like that create content?
Yeah, I do get to watch for fun. I really only consume on YouTube. I don't have Instagram or TikTok downloaded on my phone at all. I will only download it if I need to go in and create something that needs to use the app. You know, like if I have to go in and post a story to Instagram, I'll re-download and post to Instagram. Whatever my team tells me to do, I'll do it. But I usually delete the app after. I'm not a consumer of Instagram or TikTok anymore. I love TikTok. Let me just say that. I love TikTok. But I got a problem with TikTok Shop because I keep spending money. And so I got to not have that on my phone. They keep suckering me in. I spend too much. We can't have it anymore. I'm setting boundaries. But I consume on YouTube all the time, and it's mostly enjoyment. There's so many different niches and industries that I watch. I love deep dive videos, and I think that's why I started doing them last year. I did my first deep dive video where I talked about the top 50 successful creators on the Forbes list. And I love deep dive videos, so I'll watch a bunch of those. I don't actually watch a lot of people in my industry. I want to support other creators. So like I watch my friends. So like Jade, I'll watch her videos. Katie Steckley, I'll watch her videos. So any friends, I'm just like, I'll watch their videos or I'll let them play through to give them the views. If it comes up on my For You page, I'm like, oh, click. Okay, let's let that play while I do the dishes. But I also don't want to overconsume in my industry because I find when I overconsume, I feel like I'm falling behind. And so I try to limit how much I watch when it comes to social media tips because then I feel like I'm not doing enough. I still like to learn. I think it's important to learn, and I will always podcast it up or watch a video if I'm feeling like I need to get to that next level. But I try to limit my time consuming there. But I do watch a lot for enjoyment.
I think that's such good advice.
It is such good
especially
advice.
for like longevity, because it could, and just to keep your focus. And I'm just kidding. I'm just trying to imagine how much more productive you are by the fact that you don't have TikTok or Instagram.
No, really though.
Well, I have replaced that with other mindless tasks, you know, so I'm not always productive all the time. I've actually replaced it. I play like games on my phone, so I like to play little games.
Wait, tell us some of your favorite games. You have to tell me at least one.
I'm going to sound like such a little child right now. So, of course, I have like puzzly games. So those are like my fun nighttime Sudoku type grandma stuff. But I also have silly one called Merged Dragons.
I love it.
So yeah, I'm exposing myself. Merged Dragons has always been a fun go-to for me, or Township is always a fun one. It's just like, I'd rather do that than consume social media, because usually if I scroll on social media, I get anxious. Something comes up on my For You page that I didn't want to see, and it made me anxious, and now I'm stressed the rest of the day. And I have more control over the silly little games. Yeah. So I'd rather spend my time doing that.
I feel you on that. I have two that I like, and so I'm going to expose myself because you were so vulnerable. So I like Disney Emoji Blitz is very fun. It's kind of like Candy Crush, but with Disney characters, and it's very fun. And what I like about them is that if you're doing it for free and you're not doing the paid stuff, you eventually run out of lives, so you have to shut it down. Because I'm too cheap to pay for more lives and all the bonus things. So then I'm like, oh, I get to come back like in an hour if I want, or I just do it at night. And then my new one that I'm doing is like for old ladies, but it's really fun. It's called June's Journey. And
oh my gosh, I have that one.
Okay, it's like a look and find, but there's also a murder mystery, and you collect clues.
Yeah, I have June's Journey. That's the one that I play when I'm waiting for like timers to go down on the other ones.
This is great.
You guys are cracking me up. I don't play any games on my phone.
Well, I will tell you, this is crazy, because the reason that I started doing these games, both of those games I started doing because of like a partnership, like the Disney Emoji Blitz people, they were building out a HGTV show one that never panned out, but like they were like, in the meantime, play Disney Emoji Blitz. And I'm like, I'm hooked. And then I just did a partnership with June's Journey because I have a good friend and YouTuber who's worked with them for a while. And she's like, oh my gosh, this game's so much fun. And then I started playing it. I'm like, oh yes, I will sign up for this partnership. Okay, I'll get us back on track, because I have an Instagram question I want to ask you, because I've seen this personally in my Instagram. Well, first of all, my reach is really down. It's down. And I don't know like how often you work with like established creators or if you're just working with beginners, but I saw like that huge uptick when Reels first came out, and just grew my channel just like exponentially. And then like now I notice I'll have here and there where I get like a 13 million reel or a 5 million reel or even a million reel. And I'm only getting like a handful of followers. And back in the day when you would have one like that, you'd get like 30,000 or 100,000. Are those days gone, or maybe they just gone for me?
A little bit of both. Maybe. I think it depends, because a lot of my students experience that as well. So they have a video that takes off, but it doesn't convert to followers. And I notice most of the time it depends on the video that took off and how in alignment it is with what you're posting currently. Sometimes with students, they'll just do like this funny idea that they had, but it wasn't necessarily their niche. Or what they usually post. And so that misalignment doesn't transfer to followers, because people go to the profile and they see, oh, she doesn't even post this stuff usually. And then they leave. And so I think it depends on the video type, how aligned it is with your industry, with what your bio says that you do. And if you had a call to action, because sometimes a video takes off and it's the one video that didn't have a call to action. People need that reminder. There's so much short form content. We kind of get tuned out to following people. It's just scroll like. Pressing follow doesn't feel as natural. So having that call to action is important. And I also think it could just be gone are the days a little bit. I'm not saying it's impossible.
We got so spoiled.
I'm not saying it's impossible, because I did have a video that went viral recently, and it has translated to over 1,000 new followers. So there is some connection there, and it can work. I just think it's harder to convert a viral video to followers. It just everything has to line up so perfectly, you know?
Okay. Well, thank you for the encouragement. I won't give up. And I know you have something else, but I wanted to ask one more story about Instagram, since we have the Instagram guru here. Just about stories. Now that you've come back, are you still showing up in stories? Do you see that as like the deep connection point for Instagram, or has kind of the strategy around stories changed?
I don't really show up in stories often. Don't do what I do. I don't want anybody listening that's like wanting to grow hearing, oh, she doesn't post her stories, I don't have to. You know, my strategy will look very different to people who are just getting started. So let me just say that. But I don't really post to stories because I don't have the app on my phone. Sometimes if I'm feeling like a spark of inspiration and I feel like my audience needs to hear it, I will hop on and I'll share something. Like my video that did blow up recently, it actually attracted a lot more negativity than positivity. And so I like opened up and talked about my experience of that process, what that's like to have a video take off and not in the best way. So I think I'll go on every once in a while if I'm feeling led to, but most of the time it's not part of my strategy.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, you wanted to ask something about digital products.
I did. I'm curious because digital products seem to be at the forefront of your strategy, and we just haven't had a lot of creators on here who have had the success in that area that you have. And can you tell us how digital products have enhanced your overall business, not just in terms of revenue, but, you know, people come to your YouTube page and then they have this opportunity to dive a little deeper for you. How do you keep creating more and new digital products? How did you decide in the beginning to start? And what do you think makes them so successful for you?
Lots of layers here.
Yeah. Multi-layered question.
Totally. So where do I start? Coming up with digital products, beginning stages. I guess I'll start in the beginning. My first income stream that I was trying to build was brand collaborations and coaching. That was my first goal. I wasn't in the digital products realm mentally. And the more collabs that I would do and the more coaching that I would do, I realized there's only so much of me. And it was really hard to scale brand collaborations because then you have to be more of a walking billboard. And I didn't want to do the walking billboard thing. And then I also couldn't take on more coaching because I only had so much time in a day. And so I had to ask myself, how can I scale my business without spreading myself too thin? And that answer was digital products, because those were more passive ways of income, as opposed to I was doing a lot of active income streams where I had to be there all the time. So it was just the answer to scaling for me. I started with creating a digital product. So like PDF downloads. I looked at other people in my industry just to see what are they offering. And if they're selling it, it's probably working. It's probably connecting to their audience. And if we have similar audiences, maybe I could do something similar. Never would take exactly what they did. I never purchased what they did, but I would pull inspiration from all these ideas and find the common denominator of like, okay, cool, templates. People love a good template. Let me turn my Trello board into a template for other creators. So did that. And all of my ideas, they either came from seeing what other creators were making money off of, or they came from my audience and the questions they would ask me with, common questions. I was like, cool, let's make a PDF. Everybody wants to know how to grow on Instagram. So I think the first guide I made was 5 steps to growing on Instagram for free, download it, and then it upsells to a digital product. And that evolution just happened by listening to my audience. What do they want? What do they need? What results do they want? How can I give them those results in a step-by-step manner? Again, I've always been an educator, so my brain just works in, let's break it down step by step. So I'd break things down step by step. I noticed with my coaching, I was answering the same questions with all of my students. Every single call, I sounded like a parrot, just saying the same thing over and over, answering the same questions over and over. And that was my sign of, I just need to turn this into a course. I can't keep saying the same thing over and over and over. I know people would rather have that one-on-one experience, but really it's the same stuff. It's the same thing. So I turned everything that I was teaching in my coaching programs to courses, and I did everything one at a time too. I just want to say that I didn't do like, oh, I'm going to create a digital product and a course and do brand collaborations. Like every income stream that I ever explored, I just focused on that one income stream at a time until I had the products created or until I had it figured out. And then I didn't add another income stream until I felt like, okay, cool, this one's set up. It's good to run on autopilot. Let me now add the next one. So that's kind of evolution of it.
That's such good advice, though, I think, for other people to focus on one thing, become the expert at it until you add more things in. Now, tell us, did you self-produce all of your courses? You didn't go through... Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot of companies out there that'll approach creators and say, we'll create a course with your help, you know.
Oh, no way, Jose.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with other people doing that, but I don't know. I feel very connected to my courses. They're my babies, you know,
Yeah.
like I think it makes me so much more proud to sell them, knowing I'm the one that put all the time and energy into scripting, making the slides, recording the videos, doing the voiceovers, editing, publishing, creating the PDFs, like knowing all the work that I put into it makes me so much more hyped to sell it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Well, and I just love to, you know, just in this day and age, I just think so many people are hopping on affiliate sales, which is great. Like it's an easy entry point. If you like something, you can sell it, but it's the fact that you're creating something that you own, that it's your proprietary information and no one can ever take that away from you. And as things in the industry change, you just make updates, repackage it, whatever, you're good to go. Because I think I just know so many creators that are so focused on that affiliate train and you just have no control over it because they can cut your commissions without like any notice. And then all these plans that you have for the next 3 months, like could just be out the window. Just like on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, we found out you can be kicked off at any moment's notice. So building up these things off of those platforms that you own, that you have control over, it is a big lift. But it's definitely worth it in the long run to have these things that you own that can't be taken away from you.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I think a lot of people also don't think about the different industries and like the different successes of different income streams for different industries. For me, my affiliates, they were trash, like I don't really talk about clothes. I don't really talk about anything tangible, physical. So it was really hard for me to build that affiliate income stream because of the industry that I was in and the level that I was at in the beginning. So I just had to completely switch direction because it wasn't working for me. Now I can have my affiliate income is still much smaller than others who that's their full-time thing. But now I can talk about gear and people might buy the gear, so I can talk about things now, but every industry is going to be so different, and every creator, their business, the way they set up their business is going to be so different. And some people might be more drawn to affiliate. Some people might be more drawn to this. And so the way and the different income streams you choose, it's totally personal. I do think there's a lot of power in having something you own and selling that, though, because you have that full control.
Yeah. And I think that it also is just part of the beauty of being a content creator, right? Because there is so much possibility for income streams. I mean, we talked to a creator just a couple weeks ago who is killing it with email marketing, and I think that is something people don't always consider. We talked to another one who Facebook is her main income stream, which, people don't consider that. We still have bloggers who are making an amazing income. So that's just one of the incredible things about being a content creator, is that there are so many possibilities on ways you can make income. I mean, we interviewed a creator who has 27 different streams of income.
Oh my God.
I mean, it is wild.
She's like the Energizer Bunny, so
Yes.
that's why it works for her.
That's amazing. Wow.
But it's just one of the beautiful things about being a part of this business. And I just want to thank you for sharing so honestly and candidly with us about your just this amazing business that you've built.
Yeah, of course. I love the questions. I love being able to share anything and everything. Transparency, I think, super important in the creator industry, because I think the more that we are able to share and the more that I'm able to share, the more other people can have success, and they could learn from my mistakes. They could get their channels back from getting hacked, So I'm more than happy to answer anything.
I think you have an important message too that I want to call out, because I don't know where I saw this, maybe on your YouTube, you were sharing your YouTube origins, maybe with your brother, some of your old videos. So maybe, how old were you when you made that first YouTube video? Just for fun.
That 15.
15. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you started out, maybe I'm going to be a travel influencer. Maybe I'm going to do fashion. Maybe I'm going to be, and when those things didn't work out, or, maybe you were just having fun and you didn't really have a plan, but then just zoning in and seeing hey, this thing works, and going after that thing. Your first idea might not be the one that's going to hit it out of the park. And if you've been spinning your wheels and doing something and not growing for a year or two, maybe it's time to just make a shift and just be what do I really enjoy doing? I think that was such a key at the beginning of this podcast. It's you want it to make money and you want it to be successful, but are you enjoying it? Because I think that comes through on if you actually enjoy being on that platform and creating for that platform. So if anybody's stuck, I hope this was an encouragement to you today that you don't have to be stuck anymore.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. I know Millie has a favorite thing to share with our audience, so we'll just go ahead and go over to you and tell us what your favorite thing is that you are loving and want to share with all our Cypress Room followers.
Yes. Okay. So my favorite thing, it's the number one tool that I recommend to all my students, all content creators, anybody who wants to be a content creator, influencer, grow in the space, build your personal brand. The only tool that you would ever need is Stan Store. This isn't sponsored. I'm just obsessed with them. I wish I had a Stan Store when I started. I wish Stan Store existed when I started, but it didn't exist. It's newer. I think it came out 2022. I had already started my journey. I was 3 years into my journey, but can act as your link in bio, so where you put all your links, but you could also sell digital products through it. You could sell a course through it. You can host a membership through it. You can book and schedule coaching calls through it. You can make money through it. It's just amazing. It's a one monthly fee, Whereas a lot of tools nowadays, usually you have to like buy a website, and then you have to pay for monthly for Shopify so you could sell your products, and then you have to pay for this email list marketing thing to run an email list. So you're paying for all these tools, but Stan, it's just one price, and they don't take a percentage of your income, which I think is huge as a creator. If you're making $1 million, they're not taking a percentage of it. You make $1 million, you know, and people have. I went to like a Stan retreat and met other Stan creators or people who just have a Stan store. They don't have a website. They just sell through Stan. This gal hit $2 million selling her products through Stan, paying Stan $29 a month to have a link in bio. You know what I mean? Like, the return on investment is just so worth it. It's brilliant. I love it. Again, this isn't sponsored. It sounds like a sponsored segment. And I have worked with them before. I just love them. I think it's brilliant. So many of my students love them too. Obsessed.
That's awesome. I watched that video, by the way, and it was really good. So we'll link that down in the description box so you guys can go watch it.
Yeah.
Well, do you have a favorite thing?
Well, I'm just going to cheat because if I'm being honest, like I already talked about it, my favorite thing right now is June's Journey. I've been playing every day and it's just fun. And my kids will sit down and like play it with me, which I think is fun. And my son wanted to download it on his own. And I was like, buddy, this is 12 plus and it's like a mystery. So some of the themes are a little bit too adult. So we can only play it together. This kid went and like Googled in the App Store. Well, there's one for younger. It's called Pearl's Peril and it's for like 9+ and he's 9. I was like, buddy, like, I'm just going to let you download this because that was great. That was great researching. So the kids like playing with me too. And they're like, Mom, let's play June's Journey together. So that's my favorite thing right now. So I'll link that down in the description box.
Okay. Well, I got to thinking about creator resources and what's the new one that we've been using? What's it called?
Oh, Spotter Studio?
Yes.
Yeah,
Spotter
like
Studio.
Oh my gosh.
We
I've been
have
wanting to try that.
Yeah.
We have been using that and I am still figuring it out. I got to be honest, but it has been so helpful, I think, for us in this podcast. That, and I recently invested in CapCut Pro, which I know everybody uses CapCut, but Pro is worth it.
Yeah, it gives you way more options for captions and stuff.
I never thought it was worth it before, but I invested in that. Between that and Spotter Studio, they've been my favorite creator tools recently. So
we'll have to do like a whole episode on Spotter Studio, but it just launched and it's specifically for YouTubers and it's powered by AI. So it gives you put your concept in there and it'll give you options to kind of like explode your concept. It links to your channel so it can tell like what videos have performed well and give you suggestions off of that. You can also add in like your favorite creators or the creators that like, you know, your audience is watching, and it can give you suggestions based off of that. And it will do like AI generated thumbnails for you. They're not like your face. It's just like an idea of how you can set up your thumbnail, and then for titles too. But what I've really been using it for on my main channel is project management, because I'm not as streamlined as Millie and I'm not as organized. So I can actually start, you know, building out, if I have these ideas, start building them out, put due dates on them, like attach if there's a sponsor for that video. So it's helping me like actually be a little bit more organized in my videos, and instead of just like a calendar with a bunch of like ideas on it, I'm actually looking at the pictures of the project. So I'm just a visual person and that's helping me.
Yeah. And they have office hours. So for people like me having a hard time figuring it out, they have somebody that gets on there and gives you tips and tricks. So it's a great resource.
They're doing great marketing because I see them in all these like YouTube ads or creators. They're sponsoring their videos and they keep coming up, and I've been meaning to try them. And then this morning I get an email from them saying the whole like, do you want to try our product?
Oh, yeah, they've already been watching you, Millie. I know it.
You're reading my mind. I've been meaning to try it. I just hear great things, so I'm stoked.
Yeah, and the thing that I love about them, I mean, it's obviously, it just launched. There's still so much stuff that's in beta. It just launched at Vid Summit, which was about a month ago. They really have creator buy-in. So they have creators that are sitting there being like, this worked for me, this didn't, instead of just like putting something out and being like, here, this tool is so great. They actually have a lot of creators in their focus groups and how they're doing these office hours and getting people's feedback. They're really listening to the creators, that's
cool.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah, it is very cool. Well, thank you so much, Millie, for sitting down with us today. I think this is rich with information for people out there who just need that spark in their content creation journey if they're feeling stuck, or even the spark just to get started and figure out what it is they really love and start filming and putting it out there. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on with us.
Yeah. And I just want to say before we leave, again, I know we already talked about this, but I just think you're an actions person that is living this creator life, this business life in an authentic way. And I think from talking to you today, like really healthy. And now I understand why I was so drawn to you. So I want to know that you're not just saying all these words like I am authentic and I am balanced. Like I think now hearing you say the process you have for the gatekeeping and like, you know, working through the burnout and setting up new processes, I understand why I'm so drawn to you. So I want you to know that you are actually living out what you like have in your mind. And so it was so great getting to see the inside of that. And it's really showing in your videos, even though you're not saying it. Am I articulating that?
Yes.
Are you following me?
Yes.
I just wanted to honor you at the end, because I just think that anybody who is underneath you is just very lucky to be learning from you. Thank you for all the information out that you put out for free. We will link her YouTube channel down in the description box. We have learned so much from it. We watch her videos every week. So there is a lot of free content out there for you. And if you want to dig deeper, we're going to have all those options of how you can get enrolled in her courses and everything else down there. So
Yes.
thank you for being here today, Millie.
Yeah, thank you so much, both Christina and Meggie. I am so happy I finally got to meet and sit with you both.
Yes. And we're going to be fangirling and on a high after this podcast, because we never would have imagined that a little email would have ever been responded to. And we just feel so honored that you sat with us today. So as Christina said, we will put all the links in the description box below. So go follow Millie, check out her amazing content if you haven't already, and her online courses. Go ahead and follow us here on YouTube if you don't already. We're also on Instagram and TikTok if you want to follow and be a part of our community there. And that's it for today, but we'll be back with another podcast soon. So we'll see you next time in the Cypress Room.